This morning I have been passed a Twitter link. Malcolm Roberts. Malcolm Roberts is Senate for One Nation. And in his Twitter post he has written, "Cash is essential for freedom. Yet our RBA central bank admits working on a central digital currency with connections to a global digital currency. We want no global control, no national control. The key to human progress is humans thinking, interacting, and exchanging freely." Malcolm, you're an idiot. Your total ignorance is starting to shine like the moon. It's about as smart as the reflected light off the moon rather than the spirit of the sun. Now, Malcolm's posted a image that goes on to say, "Cash is freedom." No, it's not, Malcolm. You don't have freedom. You have liberties with God, a God that you all ignore, forget, and disband. A cashless society means zero cash. No car boot sales or markets, no tooth fairy or piggy banks, no saving cash for a rainy day, no tipping the waiter or hairdresser, no giving to the homeless, no giving to busking musicians, no selling unwanted items for cash, no buying anything with privacy. 100% digital currency means your life is 100% dependent on a power source and the internet. Well, he's right there, but he didn't write this, he reposted it. So, what's Malcolm's total ignorance? Well, for starters, in 1984, Philip Ruddock wrote a paper called "Moving Towards a Cashless Society," 1984. And this is when they tried to introduce the Australia card, when they had taken your states into a foreign federal executive branch government under the Australia Act. So they've been planning a cashless society on you since before they took your states into an administrative body under the Australia Act. Yet our RBA, it's not our RBA, Malcolm Roberts. It's a central bank installed by central bankers to loan money and deal with International Bank of Settlements and the IMF. We borrow money and we settle that money that we borrowed through a reserve bank. If you have a look at the notes that you hand around, the promise is between the Treasury and the RBA, Malcolm. So the Treasury is paying the RBA money. Why? Yet our RBA central bank admits working on a central digital currency with connections to a global digital currency. You mean like that Australian Reserve Bank note was already part of that global digital currency, Malcolm? You borrowed money from a foreign interest called the International Monetary Fund, Malcolm, and through the RBA note transferred value from the Treasury into that international entity. We want no global control. You let the Reserve Bank in 1959 as the demise of your currency happened in 1965. You borrowed from the IMF in 1947, joined via nationality and citizenship a foreign power in your land, which became peacekeepers to your soil for the last 75 years because you were borrowing money off an international interest. So Malcolm is completely wrong. No national control. Well, hang on a second, Malcolm. The Constitution says that all debts must be paid in gold and silver. Section 115, if I can remember correctly, tells you very clearly that your federal currency is gold and silver. Where was that controlled, Malcolm? Would it be the Treasury that's palming it all off to the Reserve Bank to pay off those IMF loans through the International Bank of Settlements? So Malcolm's conning you. The key to human progress, what's a human, Malcolm? A human is a monster, a beast of burden, one that is burdened with financial burdens called burdens of warfare by a foreign peacekeeping debt-collecting force that's here to collect your debts so that you can stay in peace worldwide. And you're starting to see that crumble while the papists lose Germany and Japan and face a world war against the Russians. You got the Nazis in Ukraine now being supported by all the Nazi around the world, like Albo and co. So what's a human? We are mankind, not humanity. Humanity believes in this system, Malcolm. Mankind believes in the gods of our fathers, our Anzac, and the Kingdom of Australia that was forged in 1919 at the Treaty of Versailles. This is what separated us at Imperial Conference 1926 and led to Statute of Westminster 1931, wherein a foreign government wrote in its own law that it could not write law for the Commonwealth of Australia anymore due to Imperial Conference 1926. The key to human progress is humans thinking, interacting and exchanging freely. Malcolm's talking about cash. He's not talking about currency. The Currency Act 1965 demonstrates that your currency was coinage, silver coinage. And you would have written your own bills of exchange under the Bills of Exchange Act 1909 to promise that silver or gold to your clients, customers, businesses, etc. Those car boot sales would have run on silver coins. The tooth fairy would have left a silver coin under your pillow. Saving cash for a rainy day might mean putting silver coins in a piggy bank or a leather purse. No tipping the waiter or hairdresser. Well, if you were paying in the constitutional coinage or currency, you'd be able to tip them. No giving to the homeless. Well, you wouldn't have so much of a homeless problem if you weren't borrowing from the IMF and creating such a system of disunity and diswealth in your country that you might find people could afford to be in homes that weren't overextended in debts. This is why the cost of housing has gone through the roof. This is why rent will go through the roof. In Queensland, they are talking about raising rents 20% to keep up with mortgages and debt payments. This is all the government's fault for borrowing money off the IMF and believing that Australia is your de jure Commonwealth. It is not. It is an administrating power, and Malcolm Roberts works for that administrating power. He has taken an oath of fidelity to foreign interests in the Commonwealth of Australia, a foreign federal executive branch power that took over your government in 1973. No buying anything with privacy. Well, if you want to borrow money off a bank and transfer it around using digital currency, then you're going to link every single transaction to a blockchain, making every single transaction you make public. That means that I can come along and look at your transactions if I know one of the numbers in that blockchain. This means if you sell to me, I can go through your bank account and read every single transaction that coin ever went through before it got to me. Your privacy is gone. This is what the Australian government wants out of you. 100% digital currency means your life is 100% dependent not only on a power source in the internet, Malcolm, but the Australian government and its overlords in the IMF and the World Economic Forum. Why do you think Albo gave $2.6 billion to the WEF, Malcolm Roberts? Why do you speak half-truths, Malcolm Roberts? Is it because you took that oath of fidelity to work in a foreign power government that sits in our parliament as administrator under rules of usufruct, Hague 4, war on land?